our guys embrace it. They love it. It's the reason they all can continue to come back. And for me, the best story I heard was that Gary Harris called Aaron last night and got after him a little bit himself.
Interesting, he did, huh?
Yep. Aaron played for Gary Harris's team, and those guys have a lot at stake. They watch the games, and they play the same position. So I think Gary saw the same thing Coach saw, and it was funny. He called Coach and said, "Hey, I already talked to him, Coach, so I got it in."
Tell me about Minnesota. In what ways are they different than when you played them in February?
I think the biggest difference in them right now is that McBrayer and Coffey are being a lot more aggressive. Those guys are taking the ball to the basket. Those guys are drawing fouls and creating plays for others, where I think they may have been a team that was throwing the ball inside a little more when we played them the first time. They're still throwing it in some, but they're relying on those guards to make more plays.
And the freshmen, Kelshur and Aturu, how do you see how their games have progressed here late in the season?
Kelshur's a very good shooter. He can put the ball on the floor, but he's a guy that we can't allow to be open and take, step in jump shots in transition. So we got to make sure we find him in transition and not give him the open looks like he got yesterday.
Nick Ward was a huge factor in that first game, as he was every game all season up till his injury. How close is he to becoming a factor again, or close to what he was? Or are you still testing that out, I imagine?
For us, we hope he's a lot closer. It's tough. For Nick, it's frustrating because he goes from, a guy that was scoring 17 points a game and, getting 7-8 rebounds to not being able to play the same amount of minutes. And, we want him to be on the floor. I know he wants to be on the floor. And as soon as we can bring him along and get him back to where he was, I think it'll be better for us because we're going to need him down the stretch.
How much did the prep help to have played down in the Big Ten at this level, another game at the second round?
Well, we still didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but it was easier because we didn't have to watch as many games. Typically you get your NCAA tournament opponent and you try to go back and watch their last 15 or so games. So for us, we had already played Minnesota. There was a chance that if they had beat Michigan, we would have played them in the Big Ten tournament. So we had already watched a lot of their games. So we just had to watch their game from yesterday and then go back over the stuff that we had watched leading up to the Michigan-Minnesota game.
You guys probably watched a lot of them during this season with other scouts too, probably.
Yeah. So, it's just a different focus. I mean, obviously you see what their tendencies and some of the things that those guys are doing. But you're usually locked in on the team that you're scouting. But having watched, throughout the Big Ten season, it made it a little easier for this preparation.
I think I saw this might be the first Big Ten matchup in the tournament since
'85.
No, since Wisconsin in the Final Four.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't realize that. I saw a stat that this was the first time that two Big Ten teams had played one another this early in the tournament since 1985.
What's it out about that game against Louisville?
I think Louisville looked a little bit out of sorts from the standpoint that they allowed Minnesota to get out in transition, and they were really effective, and I think they didn't stop their transition, and I thought that Minnesota did a heck of a job on the boards. They really hurt Louisville there. Louisville had some big bodies, but until you play against Oturu and Murphy, I mean, those are two of the toughest kids you're probably going to play. I don't care who you're playing in the country. They're both very physical and very strong, and they're relentless in terms of their rebounding.
Coffey guarded Noir yesterday. Pretty versatile defender. You hear about his offense all the time, but that was a big assignment that he took care of pretty good yesterday.
Well, I think Coffey's motivated to be playing for a lot. He's playing for his home state school, and I'm sure they want to have a ton of his success because because they haven't had it in the recent years, and this is their chance to put their staple or their mark on the program. And I think he's playing a lot harder than he's played in the past, and he did do a heck of a job defending Wara yesterday.
Matt McQuaid only had 6 or 7 shots, I think, yesterday. Did Bradley do a good job taking him away a little bit, or when you look back at that, was that enough shots for him? What do you think about that?
Well, we'd love for Matt to get more shots. You know, if you look at the game, the championship game, you know, Michigan knows Matt as well as anyone, and he got a lot more shots. Some of it was how they were playing Cassius. Some of it was that we got out and we had a chance to run a little bit more. Our running game was not as good as it's been yesterday, and I think that hurts Matt because that's where he gets a lot of his shots.
Their transition defense was that good, or a combination of both?
I think their transition defense was pretty good, and I think they did a good job of helping off of Kenny and Aaron and those guys, and you know that hurts Matt sometimes too.